Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
We're roadtoruta.com. We got lots of silver information today. By the way, if you're a private road member, check out my post the other day, my discussion with Will Lair, especially if you're into Theta, which hopefully everybody on the road to Ruta is into Theta. I don't. It's so surprising to me to see crypto haters when people should understand why they got into gold and silver in the first place. These are standalone assets, no third party. That's the beauty of crypto. You don't have to believe in it to understand that the rest of the world is going to use it, especially for anything internet based. No, they're not going to be using gold and silver as money on the internet. I don't even think first of all, the cryptos that are hoping to use the gold and silver people who are hoping to use cryptos on the blockchain because it makes it easier to transact, which is the really only the gigantic, one of the big downfalls of gold and silver is transactability. You don't want to be walking around with gold and silver coins. They think they can use the blockchain. It is obviously a problem with the gold and silver standard. No longer. Remember, last time we were on the gold and silver standard, there weren't computers running around. You didn't have a computer on your phone. So yeah, as an alternative to the fiat money system back then, pre 1971 and before, gold and silver were great options as money. Now it's not really feasible anymore. So gold and silver bugs need to start thinking about taking baby steps into the future. Definitely hang on to your gold and silver. Don't get me wrong. Very important assets. I think the problem with gold is, number one, all the banks hold the gold. The big money holds the gold. So we don't really want to go back onto a gold standard unless we can get a hell of a lot of gold. And I think there is a lot in the United States. Lots more than what Jeffrey Christian will tell you, 200,000 tons, never mind. It's more like 2 million tons plus. Nobody really knows. Cliff had told me quite a few years back that the entities like the USGS, the U.S. Geological Society, had been going around trying to quantify exactly how many commodities there are in the world because of all the obfuscation, because of the lies that entities like the Silver Institute tell people about what's going on with supply and demand. Everybody's kind of lost track how much gold and how much silver there is in the world, so it's very difficult. It's going to be very difficult to go back to a gold-silver standard, just not knowing how much gold and silver there is. So there are some things that, of course, with silver, it's different. Silver is the future of the internet. Everything needs silver from now going forward. I'm going to get to what's going on in the solar panel. It's kind of crazy right now. But yes, you should have some cryptos in your possession. A lot of people like Bitcoin because it's the first mover. I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist. As a matter of fact, I think Bitcoin, I'd rather have gold than Bitcoin. I love gold, but I know there's a lot more. Even though I know there's a lot more gold than they say, I'd still rather have gold than Bitcoin because there's other cryptos that are, I think, much more useful, like ridiculously more useful than just a store of value. But those people who are poo-pooing gold and silver bugs who poo-poo cryptos, and they do it, and you can look at the chat of this video. It's all the time. These crazy silver bugs are like, "Oh, you idiot! No, it's an electronic blip. There's nothing backing it. There's no intrinsic value." Holy crap, people! Come on, wake up and smell the coffee. The world has moved ahead. The world is not going back to a gold-silver standard where you sit there walking around with coins. It's just not going to happen. Because there's other ways to do it. And by the way, anybody thinks they're going to back the gold and silver put on the blockchain or anything, you better get yourself some Veritasium because Reggie Middleton owns the patent to that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about there, then you haven't done your homework. Peer-to-peer capital markets, who owns the patent? 2013, Reggie Middleton awarded the patent. He didn't get awarded back then. He should have been awarded back then. He almost got arrested back then because the SEC wanted to shut him down. But they haven't, by the way. They are holding 98 million of the 100 million Veritasium tokens. Holding it. in freeze frame. And I had wondered back then. I'm like, well, they could burn it at any time. In actuality, they gave Reggie one of the multi-sig keys. So it has to be, this comes to Cliff High's data almost just, it's lining up perfectly that gold or that Bitcoin and Veritasium will cross paths, as in Veritasium will be valued at least as valuable as Bitcoin, which is crazy to think about because right now it's trading at like, it was $25. Now it jumps a lot to 50 and 25 and 50, and then they try to slam it down. At one time, it traded at 450 because Reggie has the patent. This was before the patent was even released. Anyway, I'm getting off subject. So if you're gold, silver bug, don't give up on. Well, nobody gives up on cryptos. They either don't understand it, which is like Peter Schiff and those, Nouriel Roubini and those ridiculous human beings. It doesn't matter what Bitcoin's going to do or cryptos are going to do. Peter Schiff will never change his mind. He's already said that. It doesn't matter. It's a mental block for some gold and silver bugs. But in reality, Peter Schiff was saying, they're just going to put gold and silver on the blockchain. Well, they can't. They can't legally without going to Reggie Middleton if you're in the United States or in Japan, which he's also been granted the patent. So there's a lot of things that, if you close your eyes and you're like gold and silver only, you miss out on the rest of the world as we move on by you. Cliff High was quoting Shakespeare a long time ago. There's an ebb. There's an ebb and flow in the tides of man, and you either when the tide comes in, you get on the boat because the whole thing's going out, and you want to be on the boat as it goes out to sea and ventures into new worlds, and that's where we are. You can still get on the boat. You'll be using Theta if you go on the internet in the future, or if you participate in the economy in the future. It'll all be digital. You're going to be using Theta a lot. So why buy it when it's $1,000, $2,000 a token? Why not buy it when it's whatever it is now, $2 a token? All right, back to silver. I know I promised silver today. We were up $1 or 99 cents briefly. It touched 99 cents and then they freaked out again. It doesn't matter. We've been doing this for so long. On the road to Ruta, it's been since I've been in really into silver since 99, 2000, working with the Gata boys in the early days. And gold and silver. Gold was my number one back then. Gold mining companies and all that. I knew how much value was in the ground. Over time, I learned about what was going on, just how big this actually is, how many conspirators they are, how many does it take to rig the price of silver and rig the price of gold. It takes a lot. And it is still going on. The latest thing Jenny Moonstone pointed out to all the Road to Ruta private road members, they were going to get a new way to rig the silver and gold markets, which they did back in, this was 2021, when we had the beginning of the year, the spike because of the whole Wall Street bet stuff and all that, and people started getting in. We almost hit $30, and Rustin Benham said we had to tamp down the price of silver. The way they did that was to have J.P. Morgan, who had already been busted for rigging the price of silver. But by the way, somebody needs to tell Jeffrey Christian that yes, silver manipulation is 100% real, and people have already been arrested for it, and it still goes on. He'll never believe you because he's either dumb or he's part of the cabal, judging that he came from Jay Aaron and Goldman Sachs and all that, and they put him over here as a third party. He's part of it. It'll be interesting. He comes out with his silver yearbook pretty soon. Well, he waits for the Silver Institute to put out theirs so he can rig numbers, match them up, and then he puts out his. The saddest part about all this is that the Silver Institute and CPM Group, which is Jeffrey Christian's company, are really the only two neutral silver parties who report on supply and demand. And it's really embarrassing for anybody in the silver market that they, one, allow this to go on. Completely criminal. I'll get to that in a second. And number two, they don't start something up new that's real. And I think we will head to a place that's real. So Metals Focus is the entity that supplies it to CPM Group. I've talked to the head guy over there, and I was like, what are you going to do? You got a huge problem coming up with the amount of silver used in solar panels for 2023. You're going to shock the world if you tell the right numbers. And he said, oh, yeah, we're on it. We know what we're doing. We have people out there. And then they came up with exactly one half of what was used. And it wasn't shocking to me, but it just reinforced the criminality within the silver market. And it is illegal to artificially report prices that you know are wrong if the intent is to mislead the market. That law is, since they're not traders theoretically, unless they are traders, individuals, but they skirt around the law. There's no truth and honesty in news reporting anymore. Anyway, so all right, real quick, yes, somebody went in and bought a whole bunch of silver right here, silver contracts. Sorry, this is not silver. These are silver derivatives. That's all that it takes to rig the price of silver. When you look at the amount of derivatives traded to the amount of physical silver actually traded, a very small amount. I'd say less than 1%. Even Jeff Christian said that about gold. Silver derivatives, last time I checked, which is a couple of years ago, there's about 120 billion ounces of silver derivatives traded on the Comex every year to rig the price. And this is, with the world that has maybe a billion or so ounces available, maybe that's not locked into ETFs and things like that, which has been coming out. Again, a problem with ETFs is they are used to rig the markets. Look who the custodian is. All you Bitcoin people who are pissed off that the price of Bitcoin hasn't gone up since the introduction of ETFs. ETFs are market manipulation tools. The custodians for JP Morgan, for Christ's sake. I mean, it couldn't be more obvious. And the entity in charge is BlackRock, just like in silver. Do you know the entity in charge is BlackRock and JP Morgan and a handful of banks that assist? So that is true. Let's get to silver, some silver stuff. Very interesting. So we like the action. Price doesn't mean anything. Silver should be $3,000-$4,000 right now. Easy. And it shouldn't be used in solar panels, by the way. But here's one of the problems. The Silver Institute has just doubled down once again on their ridiculous report called the Silver Survey, where if you go to roadtoruta.com, I have it right here, right at the beginning of the page. You just look at it. Every red box is a historical number that the Silver Institute changed on the latest report. Why did they change all the past numbers? To rig markets so they can claim, like they did right here, this was just released last week, silver industrial demand rose 11% in 2023, reaching a record high. Silver demand for photovoltaics increased 64%, surpassing estimates. This number right here, 11%, according to their own numbers from the year before. According to their own numbers from the year before, is not 11%, it's 18%, because they changed the 2022 numbers. So I have posted, go to roadtoruta.com, I posted a chart. Let me zoom in on it here for you. So total industrial demand, this is what they were talking about, total industrial demand that they said went up 11%. This is the 2022 numbers. This is a 2022 report by the Silver Institute. And the reason I'm bringing this one up and not the they call it the 2023 report, but it reports on 2022. So the year 2022, this is the official numbers that were released last year. It had, for example, industrial total is 556 million ounces, 556.5. For 2022, this was the year prior. And in this year's numbers, look, they just posted this again. For 2022, right here, industrial went from 556 to 588. So why did they bring up the numbers for 2022? Because they just posted the 2023 numbers. If they kept it at 588, then right here, it wouldn't be 11%, it would be 18%. And that's easy math. You could do it on your own. That is fraud. That is an attempt to mislead the public. They should be investigated by the crack people over at the CFTC, Rustin Benham, who tamps down the price of silver. But that's not even the right number because of photovoltaics. They said there was 193 million ounces of silver used when actuality it's 387. They cut it exactly in half. Exactly in half. It's easy math to do. Go check it out. But the reason they do it, it gives them the ability to say that photovoltaics only increased 64%, the amount of silver used in photovoltaics. Well, how do they do that? Easy. Just go back to that old chart and look at this. Photovoltaics, 140 million ounces. Oh, sorry. Let me give you the bigger one. In 2022, they said, this was their number in stone, 140 million ounces was used in photovoltaics. Now, in photovoltaics, the entire market of photovoltaics last year jumped amazingly at 76%. 76%. So they should at a minimum have 76%, but also the amount of silver used in solar panels now increased massively with the introduction of TopCon. So look what they did. They took the 140 and they turned it into miraculously 118. How is that even possible, you might ask? And why would they do it? They did it because they wanted that number to be bigger. They wanted that percentage to be bigger so it looks like close to 76%. They didn't even get close. But all they did was change the 2022 number. In actuality, if you just run the 76%, that gives you 387 million ounces, not 193. It's all screwed up. Actuality. Let's talk about actual numbers. This headline is why they did it. And everybody and their mother in silver, you'll hear, oh my God, there was an 11% increase in industrial demand. I did the numbers. The actual number is 52%. In 2023, there was a 52% increase, at a minimum, mind you, 52% increase in industrial demand. That is shocking, especially in a market where there's very little silver. There's been a silver deficit for who knows how long. It's hard to tell because they change the numbers every year. That's fraud, my friends. That is pure and simple fraud. And who is perpetuating this fraud? Anybody that supports the Silver Institute and Metals Focus. And they list them. So you'd think silver mining companies would be all into, oh my God, we love silver. We want the highest prices possible to make our shareholders money. That is the exact opposite of what's happening. These are the companies that are funding the fraud. Asahi Refining, Core Mining Inc., Endeavor, Fresnello, Gaddis Silver, Glencore, obviously Mark Rich's company, Hecla Mining, Industrial Penoles, Pan American Silver, Wheaton. If you guys own any of these shares of any of these companies, send them the picture. You can take a snapshot of the Road to Ruta picture. Tell them every single one of these red boxes of historical numbers was changed to rig the reporting on silver, what's really going on. And that's fraud, and these companies are supporting it and paying for it. These companies are paying for the fraud. And there's more. You go down further, you got other supporters. Dillon Gage Metals Division, Endeavor Silver, Gaddis Silver, Glencore, Hecla, Heradas, Hochschild. And a lot of these are royal family deep state type companies. PGHM, which I think is the largest silver miner out of Poland. MKS PAMP, Silver Bullion, Silver Corp, Sprott. Now this is not. I made a correction the other day. Sprott Physical Silver Trust was bought by somebody else. This isn't Eric Sprott. They keep using his name. He should have put some kind of caveat. You can't use my name anymore. But yeah, he sold it like 10 years ago. So it's not Eric Sprott. Eric Sprott does have a gold and silver brokerage business. So go check that out. I think it's called Sprott Metals or something to that effect. TD Securities. So these are the companies that are literally in the silver business, supposed to be wanting great silver prices, but no, they are literally funding a criminal enterprise over at the Silver Institute, and by extension, Metals Focus. Metals Focus, my conversation over there, it was like, I don't even know what to say. He's a smart guy, and it's just it's difficult. It's so difficult to. It was Philip Newman, because he's a smart guy, so he's not dumb, and if he's not dumb, then he is criminal, and that's the sad thing. Philip Newman, who runs the Metals Focus, is not dumb, but what the numbers they report, exactly one half of silver photovoltaic Physical silver used in photovoltaic for 2023, exactly one half was used. That's a massive, massive fraud right there. And he's not dumb, and he can do simple math. And I did it with him. Say, oh, we'll see. He even tried to negotiate with me. What number do you think is good? I'm like, it doesn't matter what I think. You're trying to figure out exactly how much physical silver is used, the demand, because people are looking at this report all over the world, and they quote it. It's quoted all over the TV and everywhere. I mean, what if they did say, hey, this didn't say 11%. What if CNBC said silver demand went up 52%, which is the real number, at least? What would happen? Everybody would say, what the hell is going on in silver? And a lot of it has to do with solar. Let's just jump right there, by the way. The world's largest floating solar power plant was wrecked by a storm. I mean, how dumb do you have to be to put floating solar panels in the water that can't withstand any storm? I mean, this is just stupidity at its finest. How much silver are you going to waste in solar? It is shocking. Everybody thinks I'm very pro-solar. I am, in a way, if they don't use silver. But if they don't use silver, they're not even going to get close to the amount of power output. Silver is absolutely necessary to get the kind of efficiencies necessary for today's solar to make it worthwhile. Look at this waste of silver. And it's so hard to get this silver out. Well, it's in India, so they'll work for free practically, just scrape little pieces of silver out, and they'll melt it down and everything they can do. But solar, if silver was, let's say, $3,000 an ounce, they'd be recycling these panels right away. They'd be ripping them off all the rooftops. They'd be tearing down all the solar farms out there to try to get that silver out. It's very hard to do, and it's very expensive to do. But at $3,000 an ounce silver, they'll do it. Even you would probably, if your rooftop held, like 50 ounces of silver in your solar panels. Don't quote me on that. I don't know what the exact number. It depends how many watts. It's point, depending what kind you have, about 0.1 or 17 or 18 or even 25 grams per watt. So if you have a 10 kilowatt unit on your rooftop, why did I get into this math? Kilowatts, 1,000 watts, so that would be, anyway, you can do the math. At $20, $25, $30 silver, it doesn't make sense to go up and tear down your solar panels. At $3,000, it might. Of course, you wouldn't know how to get it out. You'd have to send it to a specialist, and there are no specialists at the moment. Some people are trying to do it, but they can't do it for less than, I think the number right now is about, it's about $100 an ounce just to recycle it. That would, that's the break-even number. So at 3,000, you can see people will be ripping down their solar panels, and shit like this would be recycled. So we don't know how many of these are broken. We don't know anything. We know nothing. Why are they putting solar panels in the middle of an ocean that has massive volatility? I don't know. It's the stupidity of having low prices. You misallocate physical silver. Anyway, the point of all this, get your physical silver. Get it in your own possession. Don't get any mining companies, because most likely they'll be nationalized. 100% likelihood of nationalization when the banks collapse. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you vote for nationalization if all your money was gone, but your government had all this silver and gold coins stacked up waiting for this to happen in the United States, for example? Yes, of course, they've been making massive amounts of gold and silver coins in the United States since the early 1900s, when they found all the gold in the Grand Canyon and Chocolate Mountain in California. Dianne Feinstein locked up, I think it's 41% of California, mostly in the gold-rich areas of Southern California. And those are now not owned by California, thank God. Can you imagine crazy Gavin Newsom trying to lay down a law? We're going to confiscate all the gold. It's like, excuse me, the federal government owns that gold. And ultimately, the people do. We, the people, own that gold. So, we can go back, probably the Native Americans own that gold, but that's it. That's for another discussion. All right. So definitely, the Silver Institute has doubled down now on these crazy numbers. That should say 52%. And it's true, 52%, and probably another 52% will happen this year. Maybe not. Maybe 25 or 30. China, or the solar panels, in case you're wondering, solar panels increased 33% for the first quarter from last year, which was off the charts, and everybody said, no, it won't go up again. So it's still crazy because silver's still cheap, and it'll stay crazy until silver's freely traded. All right. For those of you interested, silver volumes have gone down quite a bit. Right now, they're only trading volume 7, which is 350 million ounces. 350 million ounces of derivative silver on the Comex yesterday. Oh, by the way, this is how we get to the 100 billion ounces traded on the Comex to set the price every year, because there's not 100 billion ounces even close to ever been mined in history. But that's what goes on in the Comex. The LBMA is even a little bigger, but they report net ounces traded, and they're supposed to be a physical market. They aren't, obviously. But really interesting as far as what's going on. There's still 750 contracts to be delivered on the Comex, which is 3.5, 3.6 million ounces of silver. Might not seem like a lot. Well, if it's not a lot, why didn't they deliver it in the first 2 days of delivery? Why are they paying storage charges on it? Because they don't have it. So you go to, okay, who is delivering? Just yesterday, who was it? Oh, there it is again. Again and again and again. HSBC customer. Quote customer. HSBC customer. Probably BlackRock is the customer of all these people. We don't know, right? Evie Hambro runs the derivative trading gold and silver book for BlackRock. Evie Hambro of the Hambro Illuminati family. Absolutely. The banking family, Hambro. Look it up. So where are we at currently for this delivery month, which is a non-delivery? No, it's a delivery month. 4,625 contracts. They'll probably hit 5,000 contracts, which is 25 million ounces. Not bad. Not like it used to be back in the day. There was months where we had 70, 80 million ounce delivery months, but now everything gets flipped into exchange for physical EFPs. And EFPs, thanks to Harvey Organ's blog, last month, EFPs, this is Comex contracts. They want to take delivery, but they know they can't do it on the criminal Comex. They got to transfer those contracts over to the London Metal Association, not an exchange, to try to do it there. Look at the last 2 months, how much silver EFPs have been executed. In March, it was 143 million ounces. Now, theoretically, this is delivery of silver. It's the fourth. In March was the fourth highest on record at 143. April just finished. It was 161, the third highest. Take those 2 months together, you're looking at 300 million ounces was transferred from the Comex, where they get the price, over to the LBMA for, quote, delivery. So you're wondering where all the silver is to make the solar panels in China, and how India had, what was their total for the first quarter? Massive amount. It was 150 million. I mean, when you're talking hundreds of millions of ounces in a market that's very thin, you got to wonder who's doing it. All you got to do is look right here. Go back to who is making all these deliveries. I can tell you who's taking it. Customers of JP Morgan. Customers of JP Morgan. There was barely any activity in customers of JP Morgan before they got busted in 2019. And all of a sudden, that's the biggest category. It is all the time. Look at it. And it's all taking delivery. This is the silver that JP Morgan leased out to Bank of America, who put in a derivative package into all these different entities. BlackRock probably being the number one buyer of those derivatives, and now it's time to pay back. And who is the biggest provider? Right here, HSBC. Look at that. 1,400 contracts, which is what? It's 5,000 ounces per contract, is 50. They're the largest anyway. And if you add together the other, this is out of their house account. Deliveries out of their house account. That's huge. That means there's really not much left. So 2,500. So about half. About half is done by HSBC. 2,500 would be 13 million ounces. and they provided it, and who took it? JP Morgan customers took 10 million ounces of that. Scotiabank, who's not supposed to be dealing in silver anymore, took a massive amount, 824 contracts. That's about 4 million ounces. Wells Fargo's in the game, not much though. BMO Capital, Macquarie, all these banks played into this derivative game. Standard Chartered Bank, we rarely see them. They had to deliver 784 contracts. This is all part of the JP Morgan from 2008 to 2015 when they were rigging the silver market. They were taking physical. That's what Blythe Masters was doing. All the while, nobody really knew. Ted Butler knew. He saw it happening later on, and then chronicled it, and we could see it in the OCC data. It was over 1 billion ounces, probably 1.2 billion ounces that JP Morgan took of physical silver. They were taking Silver Eagles too, which is shocking. But when you look at the Silver Eagle data that came out of the U.S. Mint when they used to be a real mint, yeah, the Silver Eagles were just flying out of there. And everybody thought, oh yeah, it's the silver stackers are really giving it to the criminal bankers. No, it was J.P. Morgan stacking Silver Eagles, and who knows what they did with them? Ted thinks they melted them down into 5,000 ounce bars. I don't know. I wouldn't say that because that would be illegal. You're destroying U.S. currency. Not that J.P. Morgan has any problem with doing anything illegal. Talk to Jeffrey Epstein or Bernie Madoff. But tremendous waste, and they didn't need to do that. I think they probably still have them, thinking, okay, we're going to go back to gold and silver standard sometime. We want to have as much as we can of U.S. actual currency. Who knows? I guess we'll find out one day when the USA goes full open kimono. Check it out, and that's coming. I think before the election, if there is an election. Can you imagine a Joe Biden Donald Trump debate? Oh my God, no way Biden would debate. Or they, even if they have a double to throw out there, or, the masks are crazy these days that you can put on. I can look exactly like Joe Biden. Maybe I'll do that. Buy a real one of those real masks that really hug your face and it looks like you're the other person. Maybe I'll do a Road to Ruta morning news with that as Joe Biden. Oh my God, I laugh, but it's kind of sad. All right, moving on. Quick news on Theta. Up 8% today. The Theta AI, Edge Cloud, all that stuff is just going gangbusters. Who cares about price? Truthfully, I don't care about price. Theta is going into the thousands and thousands of dollars. Everybody's going to know what Theta is at some point. Everybody's going to be using it. Everybody's going to be earning T-Fuel, especially when they download the Theta token, the crypto token, is part of the infrastructure of what Theta really is. It's a software download. It allows people to share not only their broadband capacity, excess broadband capacity, but excess computational speed. You need that for AI. I mean, look at all the money that went into NVIDIA. That's going to go into Theta because Theta is better, much better than NVIDIA. And they're complementary, truthfully. Theta just takes NVIDIA and expands it to the masses, and then sharing hard drive capacity through sharding, so you can't, you don't worry about your stuff being stored on somebody else's computer. It doesn't. It shards it, which is taking the actual computer code, the zeros and the ones, and takes little slices out of it, so there's no way to recreate it unless you have the private keys. It's all crypto stuff. If you still don't know what Theta is and you still don't have any, I don't know what to tell you. You will. You'll have it. You go, oh my God, look, it's on my phone. I'm mining. I'm sharing my excess broadband. I'm sharing my excess computational speed on my phone. And oh, by the way, it's a software download that Samsung could download it on every device they own. Not all of them will have the full capacity and capability to do everything, but a lot of it will, especially like smart TVs that came around in the last 5 years. You can run EdgeNote off those. It's a software. There are currently, I think it's 4 billion with a B Android devices that literally could get a download. How long does a software update take? Maybe 30 seconds. and all of a sudden everybody and their mother on the planet would have the capability of starting their own edge node, earning T-fuel, when T-fuel is like going through the roof at $5, $10, $20 a T-fuel. Right now it's at 10 cents. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering why Theta's moving up so fast and T-fuel's not moving, it's rigged like everything else. So there'll be times when Theta just runs and everybody sells their Theta to get T-fuel, and then they'll push it back. Binance is the largest controller of the rig job. We all know that Binance rigs the crypto markets. At least you should know by now. And there's no exchange on the planet that's not rigged. So I don't fault them for that. They have massive amounts of Theta and T-fuel, and they are a guardian. They are one of the guardian nodes. Replay just got added as a guardian node. Replay is a decentralized video production, the impact of blockchain and generative AI. Generative AI is transforming the streaming landscape, enabling a broader range of creators to produce high-quality content quickly, thus challenging traditional industry power dynamics. Replay has long been a partner of Theta, and now they are using the Theta AI train tracks. As Cliff loved to talk about, there's cryptos that will be the train tracks, the infrastructure, and there's cryptos that will be the locomotives, and cryptos that will be the cleanup type of jugging. Amazing stuff. Some are box cars, some are high speed rail. It was a great way to describe cryptos back in the day when Cliff first started talking to myself and everybody who was involved with Cliff back in the early days. He's the only reason I got in so early, because he explained to me what Bitcoin was and how it will change the world. And he was right, and he is right. And hopefully everybody sees that now, that we are moving to a different kind of monetary system. But the things that interest me more now is not necessarily what we use as money. More interesting to me is what will we be using in the future to move forward, to grow as a society. What is the future? And a lot of this stems from the early 1990s when I was in San Francisco working for a pretty big leasing company, doing mining equipment leases, massive equipment, the big haul trucks and the drag lines and all that stuff. And I loved my job, and I was good at it in the banking world. And my friends were working for these startup companies. They said, "Hey, Bix, we're buying into all these companies, and it's this new thing called the World Wide Web is going to change the world." And I was like, I got a better job than you guys. What do you know? Blah, blah, blah. And within 5 years, there were multi-zillionaires like that. I'm never going to turn down an opportunity to be involved in the future at the very beginning. And we still are at the very beginning. I mean, not the very beginning. I'd say we're at the beginning of adoption of cryptocurrencies, and not in the crypto tokens, and the blockchain is going to be used everywhere. And by the way, you do need a little Veritasium, just as kind of insurance, because Reggie owns the patent to peer-to-peer finance. And what is done with that, we'll find out. What a way to destroy DeFi by the banksters is to uphold Reggie's patent. And Reggie does not want to destroy cryptos at all. He just wants to get paid for his invention. So we'll see how that all goes down. It's if you have cryptos, you definitely have to have some Veritasium stuck in your insurance policy. If the U.S. government really wants to fuck with cryptos, they'll say, okay, we see we can't stop cryptos, but by the way, not only should all the ICOs that didn't register with the SEC, so they can shut them down like Reggie did. Reggie was working with the SEC when they shut them down because the bankers told them to, and then they all ran off. The people who were working on that, and they went to work for banks and crypto companies. It's just so much fraud at the U.S. on the U.S. regulator level. But yeah, a lot of these crypto companies, if they ICO'd and they haven't been busted yet, they probably will be, unless the government falls apart, which is more likely. Then they'll never get busted. But at the same time, if patents can be enforceable, which I think they should be in a capitalist society, Reggie Middleton holds the patent to a lot of these things, and people are going to have to come to Reggie or buy, more likely, buy a license. And that's what Reggie was selling. The Veritasium tokens are prepaid licenses for the use of the Veritasium technology that Reggie invented. Hope this kind of makes sense to people. But Theta, Michelle Whitedove has it going into the thousands. I had seen a lot of this stuff long before. Theta has changed massively over the last few years. It's got, I think the smallest part of Theta is the content delivery network. How to get cheaper CDN prices for video in the last mile. It solved the last mile problem. I think that's a tiny part of Theta now. I think the big stuff is the sharing economy of your hardware. And why build 1 million NVIDIA CPUs when you can utilize computing power that's already out there? It's not being used. And Theta invented a way to access that and use it together as far as edge nodes and edge computing and AI regenerative video and things outside of video, like the cloud. The new cloud is not going to be the Google cloud or the Amazon cloud. Google is working with Theta for the decentralized cloud. And that is going to be just massive. It's all going to be massive. And Theta literally has the patents for a lot of this stuff and is in the perfect position. So, all right, that's your commercial for Theta. Yes, Theta will continue to run. We have new, for those of you into computing and want to run your own node, there's a new bonus kicker. It's going to make you like 28%, I think, total return if you have like 1 million T-fuel. It's a lot, I know, and you have to run your own node. You can't like piggyback of others, but a lot of action going into there. A lot of people getting computers and participating. And when they download it on your cell phone, on all the Android phones, and then it'll go to the Mac stuff, that'll change the world again. And, oh, by the way, Theta's not traded on Coinbase. That's the big mystery. Why? I heard they're trading Theta derivatives on Coinbase, though. So maybe that's the reason. Maybe they knew once Theta goes on Coinbase, it'll go up 100 times, 1,000 times, and they need to control it. So they start with derivatives, and then they can put it on Coinbase and have the derivatives to try to control this monster. Don't know, but that's why we're giving away 5 Theta, 50 T to fuel, and 500 T drop on a paper wallet already loaded for those people who aren't really crypto savvy. With every private road membership, we send that to your front door, and you stick it in your safe with your stacks of silver so you can move on into the future, and the future is going to be very exciting. I think the good guys are going to win, but it's not going to come easy, and the disruption that's going to come before the election is going to be shocking to most people. But those of us who've been in this game long enough and see the future, if you don't have your assets in your own possession, you're going to lose them. Just keep that in mind. No, don't keep anything in third party. If you can't sit there and say, here it is, here's what I got. When the system falls apart, when the ATMs stop working, then the banks fail because of their real estate investments now, but it's the derivative market. The real estate is killing the derivative market, which is a $3 quadrillion market. JP Morgan will be the poster child for derivative failures, and the tentacles of that octopus stretch everywhere. So there will be nothing that survives it that you don't have in your own possession, in my opinion. This is Bix Weir, roadtoruler.com. I'll talk to you later.
Pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.